The Best Nest, written and illustrated by P.D. Eastman. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house, I love my nest, in all the world my nest is the best. Can you find Mr. Bird? He's right there. Can you find Mrs. Bird? She's in the house. She looks a bit grumpy. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. That was bad.
No, it wasn't. Keep going.
It's not the best nest, she said. She doesn't look too happy. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. So they left the old place.
To look? Start over. I mean, just from here.
Okay. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mrs. Bird, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. But someone else had already moved in. So they looked at another house.
Wait, be cute. Do this again and say, but somebody else had already moved in. Hey, get out of here. I live here, silly birds. Okay, do that.
Okay. Should we start again?
No, just from right here because I can edit it. I'm going to edit it anyways.
But somebody else had already moved in. Hey, get out of here, birds. I'm living in here. So they looked at another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird. And there's nobody in it. And there's nobody in it.
What? Okay, wait, go back and then say, what is this? What is this?
Do you know what this is? Great job.
No.
It's a shoe.
It's a well, you don't have to pretend like there's, okay, you can do that. It doesn't matter. Read the page again. What is this house? So
they looked at another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird. And there's nobody in it. Do you know what this is? It's a shoe.
Does that seem like a good house?
No. You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. Do you know what this is? Yeah, it's a mailbox. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. Uh-oh. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. And here it is, right here. They flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big? Asked Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is a place to build our new nest. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay.
A little bit louder. Could you read that again a little bit louder? Could you read that last page a little bit louder?
They got right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. They got some soda straws and broom straws. They got some sweater string. They got some stocking string and mattress stuffing. They got some horsehair.
Oops, stop. I messed it up.
They got some man hair.
You gotta do this page again.
They got some horsehair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
They got some horsehair. They got some man hair. Soon, they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horsehair, and all the man hair that they could carry. Then, took it all back to build their nest. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. This is really the best nest. This nest is really the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew to the top of his house. He sang his song again. I love our house, I love our nest, in all the world our nest is the best. He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Boing, boing, boing.
Okay, but do that more like it's so loud.
Boing, boing, boing.
Read. Start the whole page.
Bong, bong, bong.
Bong, bong, bong.
Bong,
Mac's gonna come
bong,
up and he's gonna be like,
bong.
I peed Brady. But keep in mind that I ran today. I did basketball practice and I played a 2v1.
Okay. Read.
The rope rang the bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong! Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. Bong, 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 bong! When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and man hair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low. He looked everywhere for Mr. Bird, for Mrs. Bird.
Could you read it again?
Yeah. I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low. He looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He looked down in a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Then he saw a big, fat cat. There was a big, fat smile on the fat cat's face. There were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth.
Do you see the feathers?
Can you see the feathers?
Wait, do it again. Read the page and say that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then he saw a big, fat cat. There was a big, fat smile on the fat cat's face. There were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Can you see the feathers? Mr. Bird began to cry. Oh dear, he cried. The big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. It was his old house. That old house. Wait. It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest here until the rain stops. Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing. I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, this nest is the best. You here? Gasped Mr. Bird. I thought you hated this old nest. Mr. Bird smiled. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said. But a mother bird can change her mind, you see. There's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird.
Look, they have an egg.
They have a little blue egg, just like Mr. Bird's hat. And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too.
Could you read that one more time and get the words right?
And
with excitement.
And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too.
See the baby bird?
Do you see the little baby bird? Bye!